before you were drafted to the war, where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado, and I lived in Denver and till I was 12 years old, and then we moved to San Francisco.
Did you want to be involved in the war?
Sure, yes.
So you say that you were a nationalistic?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Um, what did you have to do during the war? Explain a typical day.
Well, it depended on the different sections that you were, first of all, you go in, the first few days you get all I was sent from San Francisco by train down to Presidio, Monterey, where they give you all your uniforms and equipment and all your shots and all that good stuff. And I think I had to spend a day on KP to get you used to the service. Then I was sent back to Campground, Illinois for medical basic training. And after the medical basic training, I was selected to go to Washington, D.C. at Walter Reed General Hospital to Army Veterinary School, and over to Fort Myer, Virginia, where they had a detachment of horses and mules, which we used for sick call. And after that, went back to Camp Grant. Then from there, I got a furlough. From there, I went back to Camp Grant, I guess. And then a trainload of us went out to Fort Lewis, Washington. And bunch of us, we took regular infantry type training with rifles and hand grenades and bazookas. In the medics, you are not permitted to be around the weapons because you're supposed to be medical soldier, rescue people. And but if you thought you were going to the Pacific, the Japanese had not recognized the Geneva Conference of 1923, which stated medical soldiers were to be treated differently, were not to be shot at or that sort of thing. But the Japanese didn't recognize it, so if they thought you were going to the Pacific, you got rifle training. And so after completed that, took another furlough. Early Christmas for me, down to San Francisco from Washington, and then came back up there and was put into the 308th General Hospital, which was like a MASH unit, but World War II they called them general hospitals, and I went in there as a veterinary technician. The duties in there were food sanitation and inspection, and I worked with the mess hall, which is the kitchen. And
How was the food?
it was excellent. Army got the
Yeah?
best food, yeah, it was good. And I won't say the Army, I'll say the services. Navy, Army, Coast Guard, Marines, they all got top-of-the-line food quality. And then, let's see, after that, well, as I said, I was just in that unit, and then we went down to Fort Bragg, Carolina to train as a unit. They thought they were going to send us to Europe. We were all standing ready at the train siding with our barracks bag packed and ready to go to the European theater of war. And at the last minute, with us standing there, they called it off, decided the war in Europe was pretty well under control. So we then got on the train again and wound all over the United States, getting out to Fort Lawton, Seattle, and went overseas from there to an island called Tinian in the Marianas Islands, north of Guam, about 100 miles. The island that the Enola Gay, the 509th group that the atom bomb came from, was. Then when the atom bomb was dropped, my unit went up to Japan and took over the Japanese Navy Academy on an island called Etajima, and that's where I didn't finish the war because the British took over the southern part of Japan, and So I went on up to myself, up to Yokohama, and from there came home and was discharged. So that's my fascinating Army service.
You were blind,
Yes.
correct? Did that affect you in any way?
Yes, red, green, colorblind, because I wanted to be in the Air Corps and be a flyer, but I couldn't get in the Air Force, so that's why I volunteered for the Army.
Is there one defining moment that sticks out?
In the service, in the Army?
Yeah. Anything like maybe you saw a friend injured in front of you, maybe you injured someone that you're
No,
close.
no, I was lucky in that viewpoint. Real lucky in that I didn't get involved in anything like that. Maybe, and I found the service, what I served was enjoyable for the most part. Well, there were some things in basic training that, sometimes sure you get upset or little hard things or long marches or hikes and other things, but no, in general, it was fine. I can't think of any right now particular instance, except I think maybe one thing I think about was on Tinian as a medical soldier. We were getting ready for the invasion of Japan and all the expected casualties, and doing actually not very much, so I made a friend on North Field on Tinian, a pilot, who let me sit in the bombardier seat of a B-29 when his job was test pilot to see if they could fly for the next journey for bombing or whatever, and
That's
then
nice.
all of a sudden the war ended, yeah.
Yeah, well, so that guy seemed really nice. Were
Mhm.
all the other people that you were in the war with, served with, were they generally nice or?
Oh yeah, I had everybody I was associated with were
Yeah.
real nice, yeah.
That's good. So they're easy to get along with.
Yeah, even a few of them I had contact after the war for a few years, and then, like those things, it just kind of gradually, you don't do it anymore. But yeah, so everybody I served with, except one lieutenant, I didn't get along too well with, but that's the way it was.
Yeah. So you gotta keep in. Now you have kept in contact with some people. Maybe not recently, but after a couple of years. Kept in contact with the people that you served with.
I did for a few years,
For a
but
few
that's been a long time
Yeah.
ago. I did for a few years, and then now I don't know anybody at all that was in my unit. May very possibly there are not too many left anyway, because I was one of the younger guys and so on.
While you were served in the war, did you keep in contact with your family? Were you able
Oh
to?
yes, wrote home all the time.
Yeah. There was definitely a way that they could contact back to you?
Yeah, they'd write a letter. Of course, they didn't know where I was. Yeah, that was all secret. The letters you sent were supposed to be censored by somebody, so you didn't give any little secret code or information out. I've understood that some people had little secret codes they had set up already with their relatives, that they would somehow slip in there. They had a code, a secret code that their mother and father or whatever knew where they were, but they kept it out, so if any of that fell into the enemy hands, the enemy couldn't use the information.
Do you regret anything at all?
No,
No.
no.
Are you a different person because of the war? Did it change your life?
Oh, I think it was a big help in my growing up, yeah. I went in at, as I said, 18, and there I had a couple of years of learning to grow up,
So it definitely changed your life. Immensely.
Yeah, I think, it changed my life in that with the service I was able to get the GI Bill so I could get a college education, which I might have had to work awful hard to study and to work at the same time to get it. So I got the GI Bill, which qualified me for college, and so that was a big, a great help.
So it was definitely beneficial to
Oh,
you.
yes.
And if you had to do it all over again, do you think you would?
Yes.
definitely.
Oh, yes.
Really, wasn't it hard and sad? And,
Well, as I say, I was lucky in that I didn't get into combat where people's arms were blowing off, and even though I was a medic, trained as a medic, where if something like that happened, like in the medical corps or service, you have varying levels of use there. The first use is as what they call a company aid man. That's where you are the medical person for a company of usually infantry soldiers who were out on the front line. Now those guys saw a lot of grief if they were in a front line where they were being shot at. That meant the medic had to go out and the guy got shot, stop the bleeding and patch up the wound and drag him back, or call a team of what they call litter, a litter bearing team of 4 guys had to come out and try to get it, pick up the soldier if he didn't get shot at, if they respected the Red Cross on your helmet and on your arm. So those medics are the ones that had saw a lot. I was lucky, as I say, I had no problem, luckily.
that's good.
Mhm.
So, if you said your color blindness affected you. If you could be in the Air Force, if you didn't have color blindness, then would you do it all over again?
Well, now that I'm older, I don't know. I probably would. I liked aviation. I probably would, but I think I was lucky that I didn't get an Air Force because I'd probably been shot down. Probably dead.
That's good.
So maybe I was lucky.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because there's a few of them that get through, but it's, yeah. So anyway, yeah, probably I was lucky I didn't get in, even though I wanted to, and maybe I still would like to. But as I say, when you get older, you get a little smarter sometimes and think, maybe it's a good thing I didn't.
Yeah, maybe. Any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to share?
No, you mean about service time in life? Well, mine happened to be enjoyable, and as I said, between those couple of years I was in, it helped me grow up, and to the point I think it's too bad that every kid graduating from high school doesn't get 2 years in the service to find himself, we'll say. But that's my not very exciting story.
No. Okay, thank you
You're welcome.
very much.